Discover how one black homeless woman's incredible dream for 5 Mercedes trucks inspired thousands in Detroit. Clara stood on the cracked sidewalk, the vibrant colors of graffiti splashed against the brick wall behind her like memories of a life well lived. Once, she was the owner of a thriving catering business, her kitchen filled with the rich aromas of spices and laughter. Now, she navigated the streets of Detroit, clutching her dreams like a fragile thread. A fleet of 5 Mercedes trucks, each one representing unity, hope, and possibility in a community battered by economic struggles. The dream burned inside her, its heat fueling her every waking moment. Each day, Clara hustled. She connected with the resilient souls around her. There was Jasmine, a fierce single mother juggling 3 kids and a part-time job, trying to stitch together a life. "Clara, you remind me of sunshine," she'd say with a smile that masked her worries. Then there was Mr. Jenkins, an elderly Vietnam veteran, often sharing stories of courage over a shared cup of coffee. He believed in Clara's dream, seeing in her the hope that the streets needed. And the group of young entrepreneurs looked to her as a beacon, eyes wide with aspirations, soaking in Clara's every word. Through the laughter and struggles, Clara felt the pulse of her community. Hope swirled in her heart like the sweet scent of her famous peach cobbler, teasing nostalgia. "We can rise together," she often proclaimed. But the road to her dream was filled with obstacles, mainly the harsh reality of economic inequality. When Clara was invited to pitch her idea to the local business council, a mix of excitement and dread surged within her. This might be it, she thought, but the deep-seated skepticism in the room was palpable. Their eyes seemed to focus more on her homelessness than her vision. The weight of judgment pressed down on her, whispering doubts that she struggled to silence. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Just when despair threatened to choke her hope, a wealthy entrepreneur named Brian crossed her path. Once a resident of these very streets, he traded the struggle for a life of luxury. His initial curiosity about Clara's unwavering spirit morphed into something deeper as they shared stories of their pasts. Their connection wasn't easy, each battling insecurities rooted in their experiences, yet together they sparked a flame of possibility. Clara's perseverance began to galvanize the community. Word spread, and one night, under the glow of streetlights, they organized an event to showcase her vision. As Clara stepped onto the makeshift stage, her heart raced in tempo with the pounding beat of her dreams. The crowd buzzed with a mix of supporters and skeptics, familiar faces twisted in judgment among the crowd. But she could feel the eyes of her friends, her family, the people who believed in her. Suddenly, chaos erupted as a heckler jumped up, challenging her credibility. Clara's confident words stumbled in her throat, words that once flowed like honey now feeling clumsy and heavy. The spotlight felt blinding, the crowd's uncertainty casting shadows over her heart. How would she reclaim her strength? Would she wield her voice to rise above the doubt? In that pivotal moment, with everything at stake, Clara had to dig deep. Would her dream slip away, or could she transform the chaos into something more? Clara took a deep breath, feeling the chill of the night air fill her lungs. She could see Brian nodding from the corner of her eye, his expression a silent encouragement. This was her moment. She straightened her posture, grounded herself in the experience, and let the buzzing crowd fade into the background. "Everyone." Clara's voice rang out, tinged with urgency. "I stand before you not just as a woman without a home, but as a dreamer. This community is full of potential. Every day, I see it in your faces. I see it in Jasmine's hustle, Mr. Jenkins's laughter, and the hopeful glances from our young entrepreneurs. Together, we can do so much more." As she spoke, she locked eyes with Jasmine, who gave an enthusiastic fist pump. Clara felt emboldened, the warmth of her community washing over her. She paused, letting the power of her words settle. "I want 5 trucks, not for myself, but for all of you. These trucks can deliver food to families in need. They can start a catering business. They can support our children's businesses, driving them into a better future. We have the talent, we just need the means." The heckler was still looming, arms crossed, skeptical and defiant. But Clara, now unwavering, continued. "Let us be honest. We face obstacles that feel insurmountable. When I tell my story, I don't want you to see a homeless woman. I want you to see a fighter. And I want you to see yourselves, because we're all fighting this fight together." The murmurs began to ripple through the crowd. Clara noticed the skeptics exchanging glances, the doubts starting to dissolve. Perhaps they were beginning to see. Every meal I served made someone smile. Every event I catered brought families together. I want to take those smiles and those gatherings to the next level together. Her heart raced as she felt the energy of the crowd shift. It was as if the air had thickened with shared determination. She pressed forward. "It's not just about trucks, it's about creating a community where no one has to fend for themselves. Where we lift each other up instead of pushing each other down. Let us invest in our own abilities, in our dreams." A ripple of applause broke out, echoing in the cool night air. Clara felt the embers of hope ignite into flames around her, her pulse quickening as she realized she was not standing alone. The heckler seemed to shift, uncertainty clouding his face. For the first time, doubt flickered in his eyes. Clara's heart lifted as she sensed change. But just when she thought she'd planted the seeds of possibility, a man in a crisp suit stepped forward. "You think this is some kind of fantasy? You think dreams are all it takes?" he challenged, swaggering towards her. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Behind him, she could feel the skepticism tiptoe back in, crowding her thoughts. But Brian stepped up beside her, blocking the suited man with a steely gaze. "What she's proposing is a reality worth fighting for. And I believe that community starts with vision." The crowd hushed, uncertainty brimming again. Clara's heart raced, caught between hope and fear. Would Brian's conviction swing the crowd's weight in her favor? Or would doubt reclaim its hold? As she glanced at the community surrounding her, Clara felt her heartbeat in sync with theirs. It was now or never. Could they unite to turn this dream into something real? And as the energy built once more, Clara took another breath, poised to fight for her vision, her community. But what would happen next? Would the tide truly turn, or was this only the beginning of a much bigger confrontation? The suited man stood there, his brow furrowed, trying to make sense of the crowd's shifting energy. The silence hung thick, teetering on the edge of something grand. Clara could feel the tension, each heartbeat echoing the collective uncertainty. "Listen," he began, his voice sharp and cutting, "it's all well and good to dream, but how many of you have actually fought hard for something? This isn't fantasy land, it's reality." Clara gulped, bolstered by Brian's unwavering stance next to her. But she couldn't let the fear creep back in. "You're right. It's not all dreams. It's about action." Her voice rang clear, steeling herself with every syllable. "But action starts with a vision. And that vision is right here with us tonight." The crowd stirred at her response. Murmurs brought a spark of hope as Clara sensed their resolve gradually building. "I see potential everywhere. From Jasmine's new catering recipes to Mr. Jenkins's famous pies. These ideas are just waiting for the wheels to drive them forward." The man in the suit scoffed, crossing his arms tighter. "And where are these trucks coming from? You think you can just wish for them?" "I'm not just wishing," Clara countered, her breath steadying. "I'm asking you to believe. We can create a fund. We can organize events. And yes, we can partner with local businesses to invest in these trucks. The more people who believe in this vision, the closer we will get. Eyes began to brighten, a flicker of determination igniting within the gathering. Clara felt it, a surge of energy she hadn't expected. Still, doubt draped a shadow over her. Would it be enough? Then, she spotted her neighbor, a single mother named Rosa, standing at the edge of the crowd, the weight of the world on her shoulders. I want to help. Rosa's voice broke through the murmur, gaining momentum. We can bake, we can cook, we can do this together. Clara's heart swelled. Yes. Together we can ensure our children have opportunities, and we won't let the darkness of despair define us. She turned back to the crowd, catching their gaze one at a time. Let them know who we are. We're not simply individuals, we are a community. And that's our strength. If we unite, we can manifest this dream. Heads nodded, voices rose, applause echoed. Even the heckler appeared less certain, glancing back and forth as the crowd's energy shifted. Brian leaned closer, a whisper in her ear. You're doing it, Clara. Look around. The crowd was alive now, a wave of hope cresting. Clara's pulse surged, the fire in her chest blazing with possibility. They were gathering together, clawing their way out of doubt and into ambition. I'll get a list of volunteers, shouted one voice. Let us make a plan. That helped fuel the crowd's energy slot by slot until Clara could feel the collective hope almost burning in the air. Just then, the suited man rolled his eyes, stepping back but not giving up. This sounds good and all, but if you fail then we fail together, Clara interrupted, her confidence rising. And we'll get back up again, together. The crowd erupted in applause, overwhelmed now by the fire they had ignited among themselves. Clara beamed, her heart racing with courage. But just as she felt triumphant, a new face emerged, a familiar one, anxiously pushing through the throng. Concern clouded Jasmine's eyes as she rushed forward. What is it? Clara asked, sensing an urgent shift in the atmosphere. There's something you need to know. Jasmine's voice trembled, glancing nervously at the suited man. And it changes everything. The crowd slowly quieted. All attention turned toward Jasmine, and Clara felt a knot tighten in her stomach. What revelation lay ahead, and was it a threat to their newfound momentum? Would it bring them closer to their dream or push them into uncertainty? Jasmine's hands shook slightly, her eyes darting from Clara to the man in the suit. I overheard something earlier. Something that could change how we plan everything. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it carried through the silence like a striking bell. What do you mean, Jasmine? Clara urged, a sense of urgency clawing at her chest. Jasmine took a deep breath, steadying herself. I was at the diner. They were talking about the new regulations coming down from the city council. A lot of the food trucks, the ones we were hoping to partner with, they might be shut down unless they can prove they have a commercial kitchen. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Murmurs of concern wove between Clara and the assembled neighbors, each face reflecting a mixture of shock and disappointment. The wave of hope that had just surged moments ago now threatened to crash back down. Wait, Clara said, her mind racing. How soon is this happening? We need to act fast. Jasmine shook her head, her voice trembling. Next week. They're holding a meeting on it, and if we don't have a solid plan, we might lose our opportunity altogether. Clara felt her heart sink. They were building momentum, gathering support, and now this looming threat hovered like a storm cloud. But deep within her, an ember of defiance flickered. We won't let this stop us, she declared, her voice stronger than she felt. If we band together, if this community unites, we can tackle this. We can advocate for change. Brian stepped forward, his expression resolute. Let us organize ourselves. We can show the city how many people care about these trucks and why they matter. Yes. Clara exclaimed, feeling a rush of resolve flood back in. We need to mobilize everyone, those who believe in cooking, in baking, in this community. A meeting at the diner, we can gather ideas, share recipes, plan a portfolio to face the council. Rosa's voice came again, this time sharper. I'll reach out to my church. We have people who can help cook, prepare, whatever we need to show our strength. The crowd erupted in chatter, individuals huddling together, their eyes brightening again with shared purpose. Clara felt the clang of renewed energy as they began exchanging numbers, ideas flowing like a fresh stream after a rain. But as Clara tried to focus on the plans, that knot in her stomach tightened. While their voices surged, the suited man's grimace deepened. He was still there, arms crossed, watching, waiting. Great, but remember what I said, he interjected. Reality comes crashing fast. Then let it come. Clara shot back, a fierce spirit lighting her. We'll learn to adapt, to fight. We're not just a dream. We're the voice of our community, our stories matter. And we have much to lose. The crowd cheered, a strong tide of conviction washing over them. Clara locked eyes with Jasmine, who offered a small, encouraging smile despite her earlier fear. Let us do this. Brian shouted, raising his fist, and the crowd followed suit, a surge of unity echoing in the depths of their hearts. But just as excitement began to settle, Clara caught sight of a lone figure standing at the back. It was Thompson, the local reporter, looking skeptical. Her gut churned. Was he there to spin their efforts into another disheartening story? With her heart racing again, Clara felt the next wave of anxiety building. Wait. What if he's here to expose us? What if he decides we're just a flash in the pan? As doubt crept back in, she faced the gathered crowd, poised precariously on the edge of triumph or turmoil. Could they really navigate this looming threat together, or would their aspirations crumble under scrutiny? In that moment, she realized a weighty truth: the time for half measures had passed. They needed to come together, not just for trucks or dreams but for a future they could claim as their own. The plan was fragile, but the stakes were high. Would this united front be enough to guide them through? And what would it take to truly make their voices heard in a world that threatened to drown them out? As Clara stood there, the noise of the crowd faded into a blur. Thompson's skeptical gaze probed her, and she could feel the weight of his expectations pressing upon her. Every moment felt like a fragile thread, ready to snap under pressure. She fought the urge to bail on her bold words, but an unexpected surge of adrenaline pushed her forward. All right, Clara called out, channeling her inner strength. We'll plan a meeting at the diner this weekend. Everyone can bring ideas, what they've heard, who they know. We'll write down testimonials about the importance of these food trucks, how they serve our community. Jasmine stepped up beside her, her timidity washed away in the overwhelming heat of resolve. I'll use my connections to get the current food truck owners involved too. They have stories to tell that the council needs to hear. That's the spirit. Brian shouted, rallying the crowd. We need to show them how interconnected we all are. Everyone will benefit if these trucks stay. Let us highlight the flavors, the cultures. People began to shout out suggestions. Some talked about creating a petition. Others offered to knock on doors, gather signatures, and raise awareness. The energy swirled like a closing storm in their midst, but Clara found herself in that eye of the hurricane, pulsating with hope just enough to block out the looming fear. As ideas flew, Clara glimpsed Thompson again. This time, a flicker of intrigue colored his face. It was almost imperceptible, but it sparked something in Clara. Could her words reach him? Perhaps he wasn't there to tear them down after all. Thompson. She called, raising her voice above the clamor. What do you think about all of this? The crowd turned to look at him, the air thickening with anticipation. For a moment, he hesitated. Clara's heart thudded loudly in her chest. When he finally spoke, his tone was softer than she expected. It's a good idea, Clara. But you need more than just ideas. You need a real plan, something the council can't ignore. Then help us, Clara replied, her voice surging with boldness. You know how to get our message out there. We can't just be whispers in the wind. His brow furrowed, but there was intrigue now. You wouldn't want me to twist your words, would you? No. She shot back, determination warming her voice. But living in fear of how a story is told isn't an option anymore. We're fighting for our future. People deserve to hear the truth. Jasmine stepped closer to Clara, her eyes wide. Are you really sure? Accepting help means opening up our vulnerability. Clara felt a warmth spreading through her, a sense of unity strengthening in the space between them all. That's the risk we have to take. If not now, then when? Let us show them we're more than just names on paper or superficial stories. We have families, dreams, traditions. More voices chimed in, overshadowing Thompson's skeptical views. Clara's heartbeat quickened, every beat echoing her fighting spirit. She turned her focus back to the crowd, excitement blazing in her chest. As evening drew closer, Clara knew something fundamental had shifted. What started as mere fear had morphed into a rallying cry, a genuine desire to inform and uplift. They were no longer just a group of individuals but a community knitting together a tapestry of stories, all woven from resilience and shared passions. Yet, amid the excitement, Clara felt a twinge of doubt. Would they truly manage to sway the council? What more would they need? Okay, everyone, let us break for now, Clara announced. We'll come back together this weekend with our heads full of ideas and hearts full of unity. But remember, it's important to stick together. We're stronger as one. As the crowd began to disperse, Clara noticed Thompson lingering, not far from her. He watched with an intensity that made her skin prickle. What would he write? What twist might he give this story? With a knot of uncertainty forming again, Clara turned her back and walked away, knowing every step forward was a step into unknown territory, yet fueled by the hope that they could really make a difference. But as the night fell, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was at play. Would the community's rising hopes be enough to withstand the challenges ahead? The days crept by, heavier than expected. Clara spent her evenings preparing for the big meeting, surrounded by scrawled notes and half-finished flyers. Each time she closed her eyes, she replayed the scene at the park, the excitement of her words tinged with doubt. What if they were all just barking up the wrong tree? The diner was packed that Saturday, an electric buzz filling the air. Clara's heart raced as she walked through the door, the scent of coffee and fried food wrapping around her like a warm blanket. Jasmine was already seated at a booth, a nervous smile plastered on her face. Clara! You made it! She exclaimed, waving. I thought I was going to be the only one. Never. I wouldn't miss this for anything, Clara replied, noticing Brian setting chairs up at a nearby table where a whiteboard had been propped. As the minutes passed, the diner filled with familiar faces. Each person carried a piece of the puzzle, stories of families fed, places touched by the warmth of the food trucks, and experiences that stitched them all together. Clara felt a surge of gratitude. This was more than a meeting, it was a rallying of hearts and hopes. Let us get started. Brian called, clapping his hands to gain everyone's attention. The chatter quieted, and Clara took a deep breath. We're here to make our voices heard, she said, feeling the energy of the room shift. We need to show the council just what these food trucks mean to us. The first few testimonials came rolling in, each one slower than she would have liked but filled with power. An elderly woman named Mrs. Evans spoke of the time she met her late husband at a food truck while nursing a broken heart. The mystery chicken taco was what first made me smile, she chuckled, and laughter rippled through the crowd. But then, the mood shifted when a younger man named Marco stood, his hands shaking. I lost my job last year, he began weakly. It was the food trucks that helped me survive. They fed me and my kids when there wasn't much else. His voice caught, fresh tears glistening in his eyes. What will happen to all of us if they go away? The silence that followed was suffocating. Clara felt a knot in her throat. She wasn't just fighting for a meal on wheels, it was a lifeline for so many. Thompson entered, his presence undeniable. The room instantly split between joy and anxiety. Clara wondered how he would portray what unfolded within these diner walls. Would he see the hope or just the desperation? "All right, folks," Thompson said, stepping forward. "I've been listening to your stories. They're powerful." He paused, scanning the room. But power doesn't always guarantee impact. You need to present this well, you need to harness your narrative. Are you ready for that? Absolutely, Clara jumped in, hushing the murmurs. With every story told here today, we're building our case. We can't afford to let fear of exposure hold us back. We can show the council the human side of this movement. The mood swelled again, igniting a fire. They brainstormed fiercely, the ideas bouncing around like popcorn. Clara's heart fueled by the hope swirling in the air. But as they finalized plans, doubts flickered in the back of her mind. What if they didn't have enough firepower? She felt the smallest chill creep back. The meeting wrapped up late into the afternoon, everyone lingering to find a sense of peace amongst the chaos. Clara caught Thompson's eye, trying to gauge his reaction. His lips pressed together, revealing nothing. "Can you help us?" she whispered, finally approaching him. He considered her for a moment, the gravity of everything hanging between them. "Maybe. If you can show me you're more than a fleeting story, if you can prove your voices matter." Clara's heart thudded. "We will, Thompson. We will." As she turned to leave, a spark of determination ignited within her. They were on the brink of something monumental. But would those sparks turn into a fire that could change the outcome when the council met? Clara felt the weight on her shoulders growing heavier. With her heart racing, she knew the next few days would be crucial. The council wasn't going to be easy to sway. Would their stories and shared spirit be enough to light the way forward? The sun shone brightly on Monday morning, illuminating Clara's tiny kitchen as she sipped her coffee, the heat of the cup soothing her nerves. She had spent the whole weekend in a whirlpool of thoughts and emotions, but now, the urgency of the situation propelled her forward. The council meeting was just 2 days away, and every minute counted. Clara spread her notes across the table, the scribbled words a messy but familiar labyrinth. Each point she had jotted down represented not just facts but lives intertwined with the food trucks, the laughter of children, the kindness shared among strangers, and the resilience of their community. "All right, focus," she murmured to herself, tapping a pen against a blank sheet. "What do we need?" A firm knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Clara opened it to find Jasmine holding a stack of flyers. "Thought I'd drop these off," Jasmine said, her brow slightly creased with worry. "How do you think we're doing? I mean, really?" Clara smiled despite the pressure mounting inside her. "We're doing good. More importantly, we're doing this together. We just need to put everything into perspective. The stories, the emotions, they matter. They resonate with the council." "Yeah, but," Jasmine hesitated, biting her lip. "What if they don't care? What if they see us as just noise?" "No noise. We're the heartbeat of this place," Clara exclaimed, her voice rising with passion. This was the moment to harness that spirit. Those trucks represent love and community. We just need to make them listen. Their conversation continued, the tension melting into a bond of shared hope. Together, they went through the flyers, tweaking the wording to make them stand out, painting a picture for anyone who grabbed hold of them. As they worked, people started trickling in, bringing with them an energy that filled the small apartment. Brian arranged chairs in a circle, and one by one, familiar faces emerged, faces that reflected the tapestry they were weaving. Clara could see the spark in their eyes, dedication and determination that were contagious. When the group assembled, Clara felt a warmth swell in her chest. "Thank you all for being here," she began, looking each person in the eye. "We're just days away from presenting our case. Each of you has a story, and together, those stories can change everything." The air thickened with anticipation as testimonials began to flow. Clara guided them, reinforcing the importance of every word. A woman shared how she found solace, not just food, from the trucks when she lost her spouse. A teenager spoke on how the food trucks had provided her a job after school, helping her support her family. "I want to feel their heart," Clara whispered. "Let them see the face behind the food. Let them feel our desperation and our strengths." As stories intertwined, Clara noticed animated expressions, hands pointing, laughter erupting alongside tears. By the end of the night, a soul flame of unity blossomed among them. But as the gathering dispersed and lavender twilight cast shadows over the city, insecurities oozed back in. Clara lost herself in thought. How could they possibly demonstrate the warmth of their shared experiences? The council would have to feel something more than just raw sentiments. "Clara!" Someone called, snapping her from the haze of doubt. It was Thompson at the doorway, his expression unreadable yet intense. "I came to see how it's going," he said, stepping inside as he scanned the room. "I can't help but get the feeling that a spark is building here." "Then help us fan the flames," Clara replied, her voice almost a whisper. He tilted his head, curiosity mingling with caution. "You're emerging as something more than just a group. I sense a movement." "Not just a movement," she insisted, stepping closer, emboldened. "A revolution of hope." Clara realized at this moment, she wasn't just fighting for food trucks, she was fighting for her community's heart. But would that heart be strong enough to survive the scrutiny at the council meeting? As Thompson nodded slowly, Clara felt a jolt of determination. If the world was watching, they were going to put on a show. But would it be enough to tip the scales? Would their shared voices create a symphony powerful enough to drown out the echoes of doubt? The next morning felt different. Clara awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. As sunlight streamed through her window, it illuminated the notes scattered around her kitchen table, the lifeblood of their movement waiting to be transformed into something tangible. Today was the day they would finalize their message, the message that had simmered through hours of conversations and shared experiences. Once more, she brewed her coffee, but this time, the aroma mingled with anticipation. Glancing around, she saw the flyers from last night still lying there, some already adorned with doodles and encouraging notes written in vibrant ink. They were alive now, just like the stories that fueled them. Jasmine arrived promptly, her face lit with a mix of excitement and anxiety. "Okay, Clara," Jasmine started briskly, "we need to nail our presentation." "What's the plan?" Clara took a deep breath, the weight of the upcoming council meeting settling on her shoulders like a heavy coat. "We need to weave our stories together, make them unforgettable. It's not enough to speak, we need to let them see why this matters." They spread their materials across the table again. The two began rearranging the flyers into groups, each story an individual thread in a larger tapestry. With each story they revisited, the impact grew. Clara can still hear the quiver in the woman's voice who spoke of loss, the determination radiating from the teenager who had found a job. Just then, Brian poked his head around the door. "Hey, any updates?" he asked, a hopeful lilt in his voice. "Absolutely. We're tightening our focus. It's all about emotion that resonates," Clara replied, her heart racing as she saw his eagerness to contribute. She motioned him in, and he joined the brainstorming. The three of them delved deeper. They started mapping out a timeline of the stories before, during, and after the food trucks became a part of their lives. Each landmark moment they identified thickened the air with urgency and passion. "What if we included visuals?" Brian suggested. Like a slideshow showing our community enjoying food together? Pictures of families and gatherings? Yes. Clara exclaimed, a smile breaking across her face. Let them feel the joy. Food isn't just about nourishment, it's about connection. As they gathered images from various community events, an undeniable energy coursed through the room. They were building something solid, something real. Clara envisioned not just a meeting, but a moment where their community's heartbeat would echo through the council chamber. Hours flew by until they finally huddled together, exhausted yet exhilarated. A sense of urgency mixed with hope enveloped them. Each person had sacrificed their time and energy, and that alone felt like a victory. But as night fell, Clara's excitement began to falter. A question loomed over her. What if it wasn't enough? What if the council ignored the stories she clung to, dismissing them as just another plea? Clara. A voice broke through her swirling thoughts. It was Thompson again, entering with a determined stride. You all look ready to change the world. It's not just us, Clara replied, her voice trembling slightly. It's about everyone out there. They deserve this. Thompson's brow furrowed with genuine concern. And if you don't get what you want? The question echoed in Clara's mind. Would their efforts culminate in a victory, or would they face disregard? Suddenly, the reality of the council meeting loomed large. What if, Clara whispered, a thought striking her with the force of a storm. But before she could finish, she was interrupted by a knock at the door, a voice behind it reducing the tension of her fears to a gentle hum. Is this the meeting for the food trucks? A newcomer asked. Clara's heart raced again. Was this the spark they needed? Was the community growing larger by the moment? As she opened the door, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just beginning. What if this meeting turned everything upside down, igniting a fire that could change their community forever? Clara opened the door wide, revealing a woman standing in the soft glow of the porch light. She was bundled in a tattered but vibrant coat, and her hair framed her face like a halo. There was a glimmer of hope in her eyes that seemed to shine brighter than the morning sun. Hi. I'm Mia, she said, her voice warm and welcoming despite the cold air. I heard about your meeting and wanted to join in. I have a story too. Please, come in. Clara urged, stepping aside to let her enter. The warmth of the kitchen enveloped them, competing with the chill outside. Mia took a seat at the table, her presence seemingly filling the space with an electric charge. As introductions flowed and chairs squeaked, Clara felt her heart lighten. What brings you here today, Mia? She asked, eager to hear this new voice among them. Mia didn't hesitate. I've been homeless for the last few years, but I had a dream. I want to start a food truck. Not just any food truck, something that brings the community together, offering meals for free to those in need. Everyone deserves a hot meal and a place to gather, right? The room was silent for a moment before Jasmine exclaimed, "That's incredible." Clara felt a wave of inspiration wash over her. How could she have forgotten about the power of collective dreaming? Mia's vision was a powerful thread they could weave into their presentation. Have you thought about what kind of food you would serve? Clara asked, leaning in closer. Comfort food. It reminds people of home, Mia replied, her eyes sparkling. I can still see the smiling faces of kids eating burgers at my grandma's place. That's what I want to recreate. Brian chimed in, we can definitely highlight that. Your story is just what we need to elevate our message, a living example of resilience. Clara studied Mia, whose hands trembled slightly as she spoke. It wasn't just the enthusiasm in her voice that struck Clara, it was the depth of her struggle, her triumphs, and her unwavering commitment to uplift others even when she felt lost herself. Do you have a vision for how to raise the funds? Clara asked, curious. I've started gathering support in the community, Mia explained. A lot of people are eager to pitch in, but it's so hard to get visibility. That's why I came here. I thought maybe we could combine our plans. Clara nodded furiously, excitement coursing through her. Here was a woman who not only needed this movement but could also breathe new life into it. They could stand as a beacon of hope, not just for themselves, but for so many others out there searching for connection. Gathering around a makeshift whiteboard, they began brainstorming ways to incorporate Mia's food truck vision into their presentation. Ideas flew back and forth like sparks in a fire, turning into a wildfire of enthusiasm. They planned for an opening day that would celebrate not just the food trucks but the solidarity of their community. But as they sketched out logos and menu items, Clara couldn't shake a simmering unease. Would the council embrace this as a genuine vision or dismiss it? The stakes were even higher now, intertwining her hopes with Mia's dream. As the clock ticked down, Clara leaned back, rubbing her temples. We really need to make sure we don't overwhelm them. This needs to resonate, not confuse. Mia's eyes locked onto hers, fierce and determined. It will resonate, Clara. If we share our truth and highlight why we do this, how can they turn away? Clara felt encouraged but also fearful. What if they still don't care? I was invisible once too, Mia said softly. But we can't let fear steal our voice. The truth will always find its way. Just then, an urgent knock shattered the tension. Clara shot up, her heart racing again. Was it someone else from the community? Or was it the moment of reckoning they had both been waiting for? Clara exchanged glances with Mia and Jasmine, the question hanging in the air: what awaited them on the other side of that door? Clara swung open the door, revealing a sea of familiar faces: neighbors, friends, and even the kids from the block. The room lit up with warmth and laughter, a kaleidoscope of humanity bursting through the threshold. Clara gasped, her heart swelling with pride and joy. They had come together, united by a shared purpose that was now palpable in the atmosphere. Did someone say food truck? One of the kids shouted, laughter bubbling over as they bounced on their feet. Mia stepped forward, her eyes wide with excitement. You're all just in time. We're planning something big for the council meeting. The group's enthusiasm was infectious, and Clara felt her anxiety wane, replaced by a powerful surge of determination. They quickly organized themselves, pairing up and spreading out across the room, ideas flowing like fresh river water. Let's create a visual timeline of our community's journey and how the food trucks fit into it. Jasmine suggested, eyes shining like stars. Clara nodded, visualizing the proposal coming together, layered with stories of hope, resilience, and love they had shared. With each passing hour, Clara felt that missing piece click into place. This was not just about food trucks anymore. This was a movement steeped in the spirit of their community, an undeniable force that couldn't be ignored. They worked tirelessly, crafting messages and visuals that would stir the heart of the council and illuminate their cause. When the night drew to a close, Clara stood back to admire their work. A wall full of images, flyers, testimonials, and handwritten promises that filled the air with potential. The sense of unity radiated from her friends like the sun, warm and flickering. Tomorrow, we face them together, she proclaimed, her voice steady and resolute. A choir of cheers erupted from everyone, young and old, hopeful and determined. The following day dawned with a blend of anticipation and nerves. Clara felt the weight on her shoulders return, a constant reminder of the stakes they were playing for. They arrived at the council chamber, a stark contrast to the vibrancy they had created in the diner. Gray walls enclosed them, suffocating, but Clara could sense a spark of resistance blossoming in the shared glances among her friends. As they waited for the council members to arrive, a hush fell over the group. Clara caught sight of Thompson at the back, his presence both a reassurance and a reminder of the scrutiny they were under. Remember, we're not just speaking for ourselves, we're speaking for everyone. Mia nudged Clara, her eyes steady and reassuring. Clara felt her pulse quicken as the door creaked open, and it was time. The council members, a blend of skepticism and indifference, took their seats. Clara stood tall, her voice poised and ready. Thank you for the opportunity to share our vision with you today. We are not just here to advocate for food trucks. We are here to present the heart of our community. One by one, her friends shared their stories, each voice layering upon the last, weaving a heartfelt narrative that surprised even Clara herself. She saw the council's initial aloofness begin to waver as they listened to the laughter, the struggles, the dreams shared among them. Each story reflects why these food trucks matter, Clara declared last. It's about opportunity, it's about connection, about providing for each other. Together, we can make this happen. Thunderous applause echoed back as Clara caught sight of the council members exchanging concerned glances. Their expressions were changing. Then, Thompson stood up, addressing the council. You can hear the love and camaraderie in this room, the resilience of spirit and the fight for change. These food trucks are not merely commerce, they embody community spirit. The shift was palpable. Clara's heart raced as murmurs of agreement rippled through the audience. Days passed, and with each tick of the clock, uncertainty ebbed and flowed. There were late-night calls, follow-up meetings, whispers of hope, and even moments of despair. But the resolve in their hearts remained unwavering. And on the day of the final decision, Clara welcomed the council members into the diner, now adorned with balloons and tables filled with the aromas of their shared dishes. When the mayor stood up to speak, Clara's breath caught in her throat. We have heard you. We see the vitality in your voices. Together, we will support the creation of designated areas for food trucks, allowing families to connect, and enabling local entrepreneurs like yourself to thrive. A roar of joy erupted from the crowd. Clara felt herself lift from the ground, pure elation bursting through her as tears streamed down her cheeks. They were no longer just people fighting against adversity. They had transformed into a community, a family knitted together by dreams and resilience. Clara looked around, eyes meeting Jasmine, Mia, Brian, and even skeptical faces transformed into smiles of triumph. Together, we did this, Clara shouted over the cheering crowd, a radiant smile stretching ear to ear. This is just the beginning. As the celebrations roared around her, Clara felt her heart swell. They had fought expertly through storms of doubt, and now they stood together on the shores of victory. The dream for 5 trucks had turned into a reality of endless possibilities. In that moment of joy, Clara realized they had all transformed together, not just in dreams of food trucks but into a family ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. And as Clara stepped back, arms wide, embodying the very essence of hope, she knew this was more than a victory, it was the birth of something beautiful that would continue to inspire others for years to come. Now is the moment you've been waiting for. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for these incredible transformations. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this. Ending your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how powerful a community can be. Together, we can keep the message alive.